So far, we've studied creation broadly, but now we're going to start getting really specific as we study one particular creature, man. And I think it'll be very profitable for us as we end this video by investigating, if we are created by God in a special way, what does that mean in terms of our purpose, our vocation, and our calling in this life? And I think it'll be a fruitful investigation. And I want to start by throwing out the question to you of what does it mean to be created in the image of God? Chances are, as a Westerner, you like this idea, even if you don't quite know exactly what it means. And the reason is because we here in the West have inherited particular Christian values. And one of the ones that I believe, strongly inherited is this belief that in human dignity, human rights. And it comes from this Christian doctrine. Think about it. If you have to pick and choose either one human life versus 10 dogs, what are you going to choose? One human life. Why? We don't know. We just believe it. We believe it just as dogma, as doctrine. It's not really through science, but it's just something that we believe in because we've inherited a Christian worldview. And so, what does it mean to be created in the image of God? And I think it's very helpful to start this investigation by surveying some of the views that are out there. And I'm going to give us three positions, and I think not a single one captures it fully, but it's still helpful to think in these categories because even if we critique it, it helps us get closer to the truth. And so I want to survey some views for us. And oh, by the way, that's a picture of Saint Basil. And the reason I put the image of Saint Basil up there is because he seems to be created in the image of John Krasinski. And I know as a Christian, I'm not supposed to believe in reincarnation, but man, sometimes, you struggle with doubt. And when anyway, that was supposed to be funny, whatever. Okay, I don't care. Anyway, survey of views. So the first one is called the substantive view. Some people say that when we say that humans are created in the image of God, we're saying that we humans share some similarity with God in some particular quality. Maybe it's like reason or intelligence or moral goodness. We share some particular quality with God, and that's what makes us the image of God. I think, if you look at some Bible verses, you can come to believe this view, and I think it's somewhat supported, but I don't think it captures the full picture. Because when you look at Scripture's language of us being the image of God, it never says that we bear the image of God as if it's something that can be taken away, but it's something that we are. And if you say that the image of God can be reduced to a particular quality, such as our ability to reason or our intelligence, what happens if these qualities go away? For example, if you run into a coma and you lose your faculty of reason or your intelligence, are you of a lesser image? Or, have you lost the image of God? And I think you run into this difficulty if you reduce the image to something that we carry. It's because it's not something we carry, but the image is something that we are. And so I think that's a strength and a weakness of this view. Others others hold this position called the relational view, and this is what they say. They say that, when you think about what it means to be created in the image of God, it reflects on our special ability as humans to be in special relationship with God and others. If you just look at our DNA, we're like 99.9% similar to a chimp. What makes us special? It's not something that we carry, but it's simply by the virtue of us being chosen by God to be in special relationship with God. All creatures exist in some relationship with Him, and God sustains all creatures in this world, and every creature, whether it's a penguin or a monkey or a bacteria or a human, all creatures exist to glorify God. But humans, the Homo sapien, is unique in that we're privileged to be in a special relationship with God. God communicates with us, and we communicate with God. And when these theologians reflect on that special relational capacity, they say, that ability to have a relationship with God must be at the core center of our existence. And what I like about this view is that it gets something about human existence right. It's impossible for us to think about our existence as humans apart from our relationship with God. God never created us to be independent creatures where we can be fully human and disconnected from God. No, we have been created for the purpose of being with God. And so if God is missing from our lives, we miss out on something very intrinsic about who we are. And so I like that part about this position, but I do think that it's a little creative, to say the least, because when you survey the scriptural evidence of what it actually means to be created in God's image, it doesn't seem to intimate towards this position, although I agree with what they say. And so that's the relational view. And lastly is what you call the functional view. And they say that, when you think about our being created in the image of God, it's about a similarity that we share in God, share with God in function. So it's kind of like the substantive view, but the difference is it's not necessarily a quality, but it's a function or a duty, a purpose that we have. And for them, they say, when God created us in His image, one of the things that He meant, and I think this is absolutely true, and we'll touch on this later, but one of the things that He meant is that we are like God in that God shares His kingly rule and dominion with us. We are God's image on this earth. We are His living representatives, and therefore we share His function in a sense. And so I think that's a strength in this view, and I would say the weakness is, it doesn't really fully capture everything. And so that's the survey.